In this video, I'm going to show you why you can't improve in your watercolor skills. And in order to do that, I'm going to tell a story about my daughters. The little one, when I brought her in school, she was asked to identify the right letter, for example, letter C. So here is the alphabet. It was shown, and in the end, she didn't succeed in spotting the right letter in the alphabet. And when we told this exercise to the biggest daughter, she wrote the alphabet on a sheet of paper, and then she wrote those letters X, Y, she wrote it like that, and Z, she wrote it like that. And she was so convinced that the way she wrote those letters were the right one that she asked her little sister, "Hey, do you know where the X is? Do you know where the Y is?" And when I saw that, I told my daughter, "But you know what? This letter and this letter are not right. You should write them differently." And this is when I realized, oh, but when I teach watercolor to my students, this is exactly what happens. What happens is that when we paint watercolor, we don't know what we don't know. We don't realize our own mistakes. And my daughter, she was so convinced that this was the right way to write those letters that she didn't question that at all. And for my students and for myself, I'm including myself, it's exactly the same. The way we paint watercolor, sometimes we don't question it. And the thing is that if you follow tutorial number 1, tutorial number 2, number 3, number 4, it doesn't matter. You won't improve in your watercolor skill unless you spot your blind spots, unless you identify that the way you paint, the way you write the watercolor letters is not the right one. So this is why following lots and lots of watercolor tutorials, it will not make you a better artist. The way to do that is to spot your own mistakes. And sometimes it can take years before spotting that. So this is why I don't recommend following blindlessly tutorials on YouTube or on internet or in books, whatever. The best thing that you can do is to know, to have someone or something telling you, hey, you know what? In tutorial 1, you use technique number 1 plus technique number 2. In the second tutorial, you use technique number 3 plus technique number 4, 2 and 3. And here you have technique number 2 plus technique number 4. Here you have technique number 1 plus technique number 4. Thing is that these techniques are kinds of letters in watercolor. And if, for example, technique number 2, you don't do it the right way, you can follow tutorial number 1, tutorial number 2, tutorial number 3. It won't matter, because at the end of the day, the results, the outcome, it will not be good. Because this one, and this one, you don't do it the right way. And if you have something or someone telling you, hey, you know what? Every time you do technique number 2, you fail at it. And this is the reason why your watercolor paintings are not good, this is because you don't do the technique number 2 the right way. And do you know why? It's because, and here is the most difficult part, is to identify the right root cause of this mistake. Because technique number 2, it can be divided into many root causes. The first one, for example, just the way we paint, the way of painting. It can be when you mix colors. This can be wrong if you do it. It can be the way you hold your brush. The way if you hold your brush this way or this way or this way, it's not the same. And sometimes you have to hold it for technique number 2, for example. You have to hold it this way and you hold it this way. It's not right. So you have to know if you make the mistake here, if you make the mistake here, if you make the mistake when you try to mix pigment and water. Sometimes you put too much water, sometimes you put too little pigments. Maybe it's the way you apply the pigment on the paper. So just for one technique, you can see that there could be so many reasons why it doesn't work. And if you don't spot it, you will repeat over and over again the same mistakes. And it doesn't matter if you follow so many tutorials, it will not solve the root cause. So the best thing that you can do if you have the feeling that you don't improve in watercolor is to spot where the issue is, the pattern between the tutorial that you fail, and then going back, reverse engineering these techniques and going back to the root causes of this technique and spotting the right root cause of this technique where you make the mistake. So I hope that this video helps you having some perspective on your way of painting, because sometimes we are too much into, okay, I have to paint every day, I have to do this, I have to do that. We put so many constraints on how we should paint that we don't take the time anymore to question our own way, our own practice. And I hope that this video will help you identify where your blind spots are and how you can improve them in order to improve your art, because this is a big lever. If you spot the right mistake, then it will spread in all the tutorials that you are going to follow in the future. So this is probably the main roadblock in your practice right now, and I hope that it's helpful for you. If you want to follow me, I have a link below in the description. You just click on it and put your email address, and when I have a watercolor masterclass, you will receive an email. Thank you for listening to this video, and bye bye.